Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Tuesday, the 9th day of September. A bit of good news today with still some impressive prices being paid cash at some of the local auction barns, and we'll get into those here in a bit. That being said, there was plenty of bad news today. The largest technical sell-off we've seen in a long time took place on the cattle futures today. We also started to see some feedlot trade develop on Tuesday, and as you can guess, when there's trade on Tuesday, that's never any good news either. Taking a look at the good news first, we'll start off with some of those stick-out sales at auction barns around the state today. Ozarks Regional Stockyards in West Plains had 19 head of 510-pound steers at $480. F&T Livestock Market in Palmyra, they sold 35 head of 495-pound steers, just bumping off 500 pounds, and they brought $497.50, bumping right at $5 a pound. Back at Ozarks Regional Stockyards, they had 35 head of 658-pound steers at $409. Kingsville Livestock Auction sold a full load of 807-pound steers at $364. And then at Unionville Livestock Market today, they had 4 loads of those Rockin' R steers, 873 to 882 pounds. They sold from $362 to $365. The weight average price on those 4 loads of steers, $364.41. A couple stick-out sales of heifers today included 26 head of 550-pound heifers at F&T Livestock Market in Palmyra. They sold at $422.50. Unionville Livestock Auction, they sold 24 head of 747-pound heifers at $384. That's about all we got as far as good news, so unless you want to hear the bad news, it might be a good time to tune out right now, but we're going to give it to you all the same. Box beef cutout values, choice lost $2.02 today, $407.67. Select was up $1.62 at $386.96. Those values based on 156 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds. The choice select spread at 20.71. Looking at that negotiated feedlot trade, 8,155 head so far. Nothing in Texas or Kansas. Iowa turned loose of 2,375 head. Live sales 237 to 239. Dress sales 375 to 382. Nebraska, they sold 5,042 head, a few live sales at 238, dress sales 375 to 382. Taking a look at those futures markets from today, live cattle, October 230.17 down 526, December 231.17 down 640, February was down 687 at 232.35. Feeder cattle contracts all closed limit lower today, 925 lower. That'll expand the limit tomorrow to something along the line of $13.85 or so. September feeders, 351.70 was the close, October 349.92, and November 348.87. Lean hogs, the October, the only green to be found in the livestock complex today, 97 cents higher at 96.12. December was down 30 cents at 87.85, and February 90.22 down 45. Turning our attention to the grain markets, there really hasn't been a whole lot going on with the grains this week ahead of Friday's USDA crop production report and the monthly WASDE report. Everyone's kind of waiting to see what those numbers are, see if there's any revisions to the estimated yields from USDA or not this month. Taking a look at the cash prices at the elevators around the state today, soybeans were down 2 cents, wheat was down 3, corn down 2. Corn bids in St. Louis, 411 to 412, Kansas City 396. Soybean bids, St. Louis 1003 to 1004, Kansas City 946, and wheat in St. Louis 460 to 468. On the board of trade, corn for September down 1 3/4, 401 1/4. December down 2 at 419 3/4, and March down 2 at 437 1/2. Soybeans September 2 lower, 10.11 and a half. November new crop beans at 10.31 and a quarter, down 2.5. January 10.50 and a half, down 2 1/4. Wheat for September 4 3/4 cent lower, $5.75. December at 5.20 and a quarter, down 3.5. March at 5.37 3/4, down 3.5. Soybean meal for September up $7 a ton, $291.70. Soybean oil for September down $1.03 a hundredweight at $49.70. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's a recap of your markets for Tuesday. This is Tony Hancock.